A judge has gagged Trump badly, choking him, I would almost even say, after Trump took to Truth Social.
Truth Social.
Right. And posted about the law clerk in the very courtroom where Trump was when he apparently posted this to Truth. CNBC reports judge issues gag order in Trump fraud trial after ex-president posts about law clerk. This is not what lawyers advise you to do. Lawyers would not come to you. I know very little about the law, but I know enough lawyers to know that they are not going to show up and say, here's what I think you should do. Attack the prosecutor, attack the judge, and attack the clerk of the judge as incompetent, politically biased, and maybe even criminal. That will help us win our case. No lawyer worth anything is going to suggest that to you. Now, maybe these lawyers are worth what Trump is paying them, and maybe it's zero, although I think the lawyers are now getting money up front from Trump. Okay, CNBC continues. Judge Arthur Engoron issued a gag order on making public remarks about his staff members after former President Trump blasted the judge, his top law clerk, and New York Attorney General Letitia James on the second day of the business fraud trial against Trump and company. James accuses Trump, two of his adult sons, and Trump's organization and top executives of fraudulently overvaluing real estate properties. Trump said he will testify. So here's the gag order. Consider this a gag order on all parties with respect to posting or publicly speaking about any member of my staff. Engoron said personal attacks on his staff were unacceptable and intolerable. Trump referred to the clerk as Schumer's girlfriend and accused her of running this case against me. He also included disparaging comments about her alongside a photo of her with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Trump posted how disgraceful, it included the clerk's full name. This case should be dismissed immediately. Trump mentioned Schumer and the clerk again during a break in the proceedings, which we talked about in the previous segment. The clerk sits almost directly across from Trump in court. Trump later deleted the post. He also sent a campaign email out criticizing Engoron as a, quote, far left Democrat. The email was called Meet Judge Arthur F. Engoron and says he's politically biased and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so listen, at the end of the day, Trump's attacks on everybody involved in this are going to be a separate issue or question to what ultimately is the finding or outcome when it comes to damages and the facts of the case. But as I said, this seems very much inadvisable for Trump. All of this is more interesting when it comes to criminal trials. Remember that here we're essentially talking about damages. This is a civil lawsuit. It involves Trump and his sons. It relates to Trump's ability or not to continue running a business in New York or to own property under the Trump organization, et cetera. So here, Trump's outbursts and inability to control himself are interesting curiosities with regard to what will ultimately be the damages assessed. In the criminal trials, the stakes are significantly higher. The nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump, facing 91 felony charges, is in practical terms looking at life in prison if he is convicted on even a small number of those 91 felonies and sentenced more or less in accordance with what it should be done. And so the implications are dramatically different and more significant. There's a building sort of pressure, or we're coming to a cliff when it comes to Trump in these criminal trials now in multiple areas. Number one is his inability to control himself when it comes to attacking judges, prosecutors, and apparently just random people in the courtroom doing their jobs. That could pose a significant problem. And when it comes to the criminal trials, it's not just about a gag order. At least in theory, it could get Trump's bond revoked and get him detained pre-trial. I don't think it will happen, but it at least is an indication of how the stakes are significantly higher. We then have, and I'm not going to run through it again because I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk about it by now. We then have this additional issue of whether Trump's lawyers are really going to make the non-legal arguments in court that they and Trump and others have been making in public, arguments that are not actually defenses to the crimes Trump is charged with. In the documents case, saying this isn't a criminal issue, it's a Presidential Records Act issue, is not going to work as a criminal defense. When it comes to, You orchestrated this wide-ranging attempt to overturn the results in Georgia by sending a fake slate of electors and calling elected officials and telling Lindsey Graham to call public officials and say, find me the votes. And Trump's going to go, you can't prosecute me for what I said. I have a First Amendment right. And that is not going to be a defense because Trump is being prosecuted for the alleged criminal conspiracy, not for saying, I believe I won the election. So we have both Trump's narcissistic egocentrism and how that will play a role in attacking individuals involved with the criminal trials, and Trump's non-legal legal defenses. The civil trial is serving as a very interesting preview of what we may expect. My hope is that at least one of Trump's criminal trials we'll be able to do live coverage of. I do think it will be historic, just uncharted territory of endless interest to future historians. Let's put it that way. So that's where we are right now. Trump under gag, gagged badly. Trump not used to being gagged in this way, that's for sure. And we will see whether he abides by the gag order.